Happy Sunday, Sooner Nation. Welcome back to the Sooner Surge. Surgeaholics already active in the chat. Jay, Mark is asking, although he said Jeremy, I think he means you, Jason. You're going to put a little get your hand out of that screen, man. SEC logo on the turf behind you, Jay.
I think that's a good idea, Mark. I think I should probably do it. See if I can get something painted on there.
Welcome back, Jay.
Good to be back. It's been a while since I've been on here. Really good to be back. Had a great time on my trip. Good time with family in Hawaii. So that was awesome. But I will say this. I'll tell you this. Today's what day is today?
Sunday.
You know, you already got the time change there anyway. So this is Sunday night. Got to the airport at Friday around noon, I believe. Have slept 1 hour since then. Flight cancellations, flight delays, rerouted to Houston where Tropical Storm Barrel's getting ready to barrel in there. Barely got out of there tonight. But I am home, and I'm glad to be back. Had a great time. Man, family vacations with family is just hard to beat it. So just had a great time. Be glad to be back.
Yeah, there is no Sooner Surge private jet, I promise you. Hey, before we get started, there's some things to talk about, Jay. I want to get your opinion on some things. We're about 54 days, right? 54 days. August 30th, OU Temple. But you see these shirts, it's Sooner Nation. They're cream colored. They're soft. Jay, I think my muscles look bigger in these Fans Top shirts. I don't know what.
Well,
they fit. They fit so well. I'm telling you what, fanstop.com. You all need to check them out, and you need to sign up for the Shirt of the Month Club. The shirts are unbelievable. They're different each month. Just don't buy a few Mountain Dews a month, and you'll be on the Shirt of the Month Club. It's not that big of a deal. Hop on board.
They could do what you do and buy the medium. Between a small and a medium makes you look bigger. Muscle-wise, I think that's what happened. Jeremy, you ordered a shirt size too small, bro.
Yeah, well, anyway, if you do get on fanstop.com and sign up for the Shirt of the Month Club, use code SURGE for 10% off your first 3 months. They're all talking about, Jay, saying SEC. If you're going to chant that. I will not be chanting that.
I have never been a fan of that, actually. And even in the Big 12, you can root for your other partners, teams, I guess, when you are in like postseason bowl games or whatever. Doesn't mean I'm going to chant Big 12 or SEC. I just think I think what's funny is when teams chant SEC and they're the lower tier teams in the SEC. Maybe you should go join the Big 12 or something if you're going to chant SEC. Definitely.
The mid 12. Jay, so Lamont Rogers goes to Missouri. They also got another stud offensive. I'm telling you, Missouri is cleaning house on the offensive line. We'll see if it pays off, if they can end up panning out. But, Jay, OU did get the commit of Marion Robinson out of where you're at, Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. Great get at safety, but they also have a future cast in for Christian Jones, linebacker, 4-star to OU, Jay. I don't know if you saw that recently.
Yeah, I did, and Robinson was a great get, too. I mean, they have continued – Brandon Hall's continued to really dominate the recruiting side of things with that room. But I said it before I went on vacation, and I'll say it now, first time back. They got to close down the stretch on some trench guys. Or I just think it's very important down the stretch here for them to close down the stretch. I mean, you got defensive tackle. I mean, you still got Floyd Buchard out there. Offensive line, we all know who's still out there. There's still some options. You got to close on some of them. Because, yeah, I mean, they are getting – you look at the defensive backs, I mean, the safety room, another great haul from Brandon Hall. And like you said, Christian Jones, linebacker, heard that too, trending. But I think it's going to be kind of – you look at last year's recruiting class, what they get on the power line, and I think you need to kind of close down the stretch. You know, Bobby says Floyd will not be a Sooner. Hey, I like I said earlier, I don't know on that stuff. I'm just throwing names that – I think you do have to close on some of these guys down the stretch if you want to end up pretty high in the rankings, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Jay, I got really upset. First off, I'm not a TikTok person, but I've got it now, and I've Actually, on my For You page, it's a lot of OU highlights, and it's getting me absolutely pumped up for the season watching some of these highlights from years past. But, Jay, I scrolled through something today, and I shouldn't have seen it. I mean, it just ticked me off, and that's Notre Dame's schedule. Notre Dame, if they don't go undefeated, they should not be in the playoff.
Do they not have a tough schedule, in your opinion?
Jay, it's unbelievable. They got one tough road game at USC. That's it.
They don't play Michigan this year?
I'll tell you the road games. At USC, last game of the year. Prior to that, they go to Purdue, and they play Navy and Army on the road. That's all. That's all, folks.
Well, I mean, we'll see, but I think it's going to be held against them a little bit without being in the conference. I still think if they have one or two losses, I think they probably get in though. I just think they do. We would be,
and it would be a travesty, Jay. It would be a travesty.
Hey, Sooner Cowboy, listen. Here's the deal on that for Susie and Babaloa. For Susie, we've talked about it before, and all y'all on here have talked about it. And I think we could go back and pull up some old lives, but I think the majority of y'all on here and us all said there's no way he's going to strike out on all of them. Correct?
Correct.
So you would think down the stretch they would land some. And Jen, I'm not a TikTok fan. I don't have TikTok.
I don't like it either.
I don't have it. So don't even know what it is other than the clock ticks on my clock. But
Colin says,
here's the thing. I do think they probably land. I would say right now, Pasusi's the one I would lean that they're going to get.
I agree. I'm at 45%.
And let's admit things. If you do land him, right? I think he's the best one of all of them. So I think that'd be great. I think he's the best one of all of them.
And I like Lamont Rogers, 6'8", 305. Colin asked, who's going to lead the Sooners in passing, rushing, receiving, tackle, sacks, interceptions? Here we go. Jackson Arnold, duh. Okay. Rushing, Gavin Sawchuk, although, Jay, I was watching some highlights. When OU ran Trey Sermon and Rodney Anderson together, it was unbelievable. I really hope we see two backs. I'm going to go with Sawchuk for sure at rushing. Receiving, yardage-wise, I'm going Deion Burks. Tackles, leading the team in tackles this year, you got to think it's going to come from the linebacker position, so I'm going to go Danny Stutzman. Sacks, I'm going to go a little bit of a surprise here. I'm going PJ Adebawore, the sack leader. And interceptions, I'm going the man himself, Billy Bowman.
I mean, it's hard to argue with what you just said. I might change. I probably wouldn't change Burt. I might change sacks. And you said Adebawore. I may go R. Mason Thomas or possibly even Ethan Downs. That would kind of be my guess. I don't know.
Hey, Jay.
That's tough, though. That's tough on those.
Jay.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the pictures floating around of some of these OU players there in the indoor practice facility? Oh, my goodness.
Well, Bowman looked pretty good, didn't he?
Bowman looked unbelievable. Reggie Powers, dude, RSJ. I don't know how you're going to keep RSJ off the field.
Well, they got guys in that room that, yeah, RSJ and Billy Bowman, Sooner Cowboy says, he echoes your sentiments there. I think a lot of people will look at that and say, wow. Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman came back to have great years. And it's hard to me. I think Billy Bowman's position, it's hard for him because you don't see a lot of safeties drafted extremely high. And it's kind of hard to come off the year he had and have a better year. I mean, he tore it up last year when you look at interceptions for touchdowns and that sort of thing. So, and big plays. So, but I think he's poised to have another massive year. Do you think there's a good chance they put him back here to kind of either get some kickoff or punt returns just to see him with the ball in his hands? Hey,
no.
Jeremy, he's so stinking good with the ball in his hands.
Hey, you know what I want to see, Jay?
So good with the ball in his hands.
I don't care. I'm done. Here's what I want to see as a Sooner fan. I don't want to be playing Billy Bowman on special teams. I don't want to play starter. I want to play these guys that are coming in out of high school, young guys who were great in return game, get them on the field early just to get them out there and get some run on the field as return guys. The Zion Raggins, the Kierneys. I mean, guys like that, Jay, in my opinion, it's a chance to get them on the field early, keep them happy, and let them be involved. And their highlight reel's waiting to happen anyway.
Yeah, and they don't. Mark's right. They don't need to wear mediums. They already look jacked. A lot of those guys at that age. Hey, Sooner Cowboy says, got to do it against better competition. That's why they came back. I think that's a great point, Sooner Cowboy. And I think it's a point that maybe people do overlook the fact that the SEC, them being able to play games this year in the SEC. What do you think the chances are those guys came back if OU didn't go to the SEC till next year, 2025? I think maybe possibly a few of those could have left. I don't know. I'm not in the room with them, but I'm just saying I do agree with Cedar Cup. I think that was a big influence playing against the best teams, especially with the schedule they have. Being able to play against those teams will make them better.
Dave, super appreciative of the super that you just donated. We appreciate it. The supers are turned on always, and we appreciate you guys that give to our channel. It means so much for us, and we love this community here. The defensive backfield best in the SEC from an SEC writer. Jay, you look at Billy Bowman in the back with Woody Washington. You got Stutzman in the middle, and then you got up front DeJoun Terry. Not only are they probably your best three defenders, they're your oldest guys.
Hey, and you know
this team has got to be better defensively. This team has got to be top 20 defensively in the country, Jason.
Well, here's the deal, though. What you cannot have, because you're now in the third year. And by the way, Michael, thanks for bringing up Gentry Williams. I think he's been practicing and everything's been smooth with him. But what you can't have in year three under Brent Venables, especially with the experience when guys like Danny Stutzman, Woody Washington, Billy Bowman, you can go down the list. You can't have big busts on defense that lead to just gushing plays, just massive plays against you, big plays. You got to be able to limit that kind of stuff, especially when you have so much experience coming back. And I think they will. I think that's part of the thing is you're more comfortable with where you're supposed to be. You're not thinking about it as much. I think that's one thing Kanek has to, if Kanek's going to make a jump at all this year, and I've heard people say, well, he's going to be back after he'd be third string. Some people say he's going to start. Who knows with Jaron Kanek? But for him to make the jump, it's got to go for him. He just can't think about it. He's got to be now year three under that linebacker position, full bore, just go kind of like Kip Lewis. I think to me, Kip Lewis plays reckless and maybe doesn't think as much. And I think you see more plays made because of that. Now, sometimes that leads to bust, but
is Danny Stutzman the best linebacker in college football? I'm going to say he's one of the best. There's a lot of good linebackers.
Jeremy, I think he's the best. If you go off last year, he was in a good position to win the award last year. And
who would you say then? Great guy.
I think he's definitely up
there. Caleb Downs is considered a safety, not linebacker, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
The guy from Bama that went to Ohio State is considered a safety position, correct?
If you're going pure linebacker, I'd have to pull up everybody. I can't off the top of my head, but you can't. I don't think anybody can say Danny Stutzman not one of the top linebackers in the country.
Harold Perkins.
Perkins is a really good player.
Yeah, and I didn't forget about Dominique Williams. I'm just saying he's not one of the older guys. That's why I didn't bring him up. So that's why I said that. Sooner Cowboy, I don't think he'll get a minute at running back in a meaningful game. There's no chance. They got the Mississippi transfer, Ole Miss guy, and they still have Henderson back. They're not playing Downs at running back.
Is Ohio State the most talented team this year?
Yes.
They're the you think they're the most talented, but where do you think they're going to end up? Do you think they're going to make a run at the National Championship?
Absolutely, Jay. It's Natty or bust for Ohio State. I mean, they're going to be in the playoff. I mean,
with the quarterback.
I think he's more of a game manager, and I think he's the one. I don't know if they can win a Natty with him, but I think there'll be a chance. They're going to be in the playoff, Jay.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think you look at the Big Ten, you got two teams that are, I would say right now you can pencil them in, and that's Oregon and that's Ohio State. I do think Michigan, I'm not sold on this year. I think Big Ten right now, those are the two that I say they're in. I tell you a team right now to be watching for, Big Ten-wise, Wisconsin. Luke Fickell's doing really good in recruiting. I think Luke Fickell
Okay, but they're not going to be near the playoff. But hey, the only thing is the two teams out of the Big Ten that you just mentioned, Ohio State and Oregon, I think we would agree, Jay, both of those teams, the thing that they may not have to win it all is a quarterback.
That's my concern with Ohio State because
and Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon, I think you do have a lot more experience with Dylan Gabriel and a good quarterback. And I don't think here's the thing. We've talked about it before. Last year we talked about it. Dylan Gabriel. He may not just go out there and put you on his back to win you a game, but there wasn't a whole lot of games where he just threw you out of the game either. I think he's a good quarterback that'll do what they need. I don't think they need a lot from quarterback. I think they got a lot of weapons. So I think if he just plays pretty decent, I think they're good enough to get in the playoff with their schedule.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Ashley Bowman, hello from the Sooner Surge.
What's up, Ashley? How are you?
Mez says defense top 25 and 24. I'm going for top 20, and Fanstop also said Schmitty's getting these guys SEC ready. I mean, that was the reason they bring a guy like Schmitty in. He knows the SEC. I think physically, Jay, this team has got to be more prepared than they were in years past, physically and the depth-wise.
Yeah, and Mark, this is a great comment. Great comment and great point that really nobody's really talked about yet, from what I've heard, is you think about it. Other years when you just have a 14 playoff, injuries sometimes come into play, but they definitely will come into play when you have to play the extra games that they're going to have to play. I agree. And Bobby, what's funny is I was just getting ready to bring this up actually with Texas A&M is Texas A&M is not being talked about at all. I know that's not talking about Schmitty, but I'm just saying I'm not hearing much chatter at all on them for having really high recruiting classes over the last 4 years. I know they've lost a lot of players, but you're just not hearing much about them anymore.
Schematically, Sooner fan, one of the main differences that we've been told, that we've heard from players, that we've heard from those who have been around Zach Alley at Jacksonville State, is he does like to move everyone up a little more. He likes to bring guys up closer to the line of scrimmage. I do think that's a little bit different. I think they're going to probably be more blitz heavy in some ways. I just think they're going to be more attacking instead of on their heels. They're going to play more bump on the edges, I think. We'll see, though. We'll see what happens. Notre Dame's first game is at A&M. That's right. That's the other road game.
That's Mike Elko's first game. I think A&M wins that game. I'm picking
A&M. I hope.
Why? Why do you hope? I mean, I don't like either of those teams. I could care less.
Because Notre Dame should not be in the playoff unless they go undefeated.
I don't want to argue.
They shouldn't have a chance, Jay. They shouldn't be given a chance.
I don't want to argue that.
They should not be given a chance to be in the playoff if you're not in the conference.
Well, they're going to be given a chance, so there's no point in arguing. They're going to be given a chance.
Go undefeated, they should be in. I agree. That's the only way.
They have one loss they're in. So
they should not make it with one loss, Jason.
Jeremy, they're going to make it with one loss.
They should not. Jay, should they make it with one loss? No, they shouldn't.
I don't know. It depends on the other teams, in my opinion.
They do play Florida State at home. Yes, they play Florida State at home.
I mean, I just think Notre Dame with 2 losses will still even be in consideration. They wouldn't make it. Probably they'd be in consideration.
Yeah,
I agree, Bobby.
I don't think at 10-2 they're in.
I'm with you, Bobby. I've been saying this for a while. Jeremy, I know, has been coming at me with this, but I just think Notre Dame's name, their brand. I do think 10-2, they're going to get a good look to get in. We'll see what happens with the SEC and stuff, but I think 10-2, and I think that's what they're thinking at Notre Dame is, hey, why join a conference if we can be at Notre Dame and go 10-2 and every year have a chance to get in? Doesn't mean you're going to get in every year, but they'll have a chance at 10-2 a lot of years.
Notre Dame with 2 losses or a 9-3 SEC team.
I think it would take 9-3 SEC team. I think
11-1. Notre Dame would go over a 9-3, even though they shouldn't. Hey, also, I want to say it again because you can see our matching Sooner Nation shirts. I'm telling you, it's not, Jay, it's not a schmedium. These shirts from the Fan Stop fit so nicely. It's unbelievable. I love the way they fit. I love the way they feel. The designs are great. You need to be checking out fanstop.com. You can see the ticker on the bottom. Use the code SURGE. You will get 10% off your first 3 months. Don't buy an energy drink 4 days. Okay?
Hey, Jeremy.
Sign up.
Jeremy, I'm on like no sleep for 3 days. Okay. And I might bring something up here that probably get some heated discussion here on this real quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Before you do, I want to get to Dalpo's here about trivia. We're going to be starting something new probably in 3 or 4 days with trivia. It's going to be an opportunity for you to win more significant thing, but we'll talk about that in a few days and how that will look. Okay, but trivia is on its way back.
That's right. And real quick, before I get to my point, John, I don't think it's possible this year. Maybe other years, possibly, if they're really good teams. I just think this year you got too many good teams above Big 12. Here's what I was going to say, and it's all about Notre Dame here, okay? I'm going to play a little devil's advocate with this Notre Dame thing. Why, in your opinion, and viewers, I want your opinion on this too, why is the conference thing such a big deal to the viewers and to national people? If they're not in a conference and they end up playing 3 or 4 good teams independently, what is the big thing about conference that draws you back from them being in the playoff?
You want me to answer that?
Sure. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit.
They really only have 3 teams on their entire schedule.
You can say that about Big 12.
No, Big 12 doesn't have road tests at Navy and Army.
No, they have road tests at Kansas and other teams, Jeremy.
Jason.
No, Jeremy.
Kansas.
It's not
Kansas
different.
is not comparable to Navy and Army, Jay.
Well, go to the ACC, Jeremy. Some of those schools that play on the road, they're not Wake Forest, dude. I'm just saying, you can't use that argument. Give me a good argument of why. That's why I'm asking. Give me a good argument of why.
One would be the number of teams that you play on the road. They're always home heavy, Jay. That's one problem. They play more home games every year. Second of all, they don't have a championship game at the end of the year to go to. They get a week off before the playoffs.
Same argument. SEC is only going to have 2 of their teams in a championship game. The other 2 or 3 that may get in or have a chance to get in aren't playing in it either.
But
so
Jay,
are you saying if you don't win the SEC, you shouldn't get in?
No.
But they didn't
you're
win
playing
the championship.
6 or 7 elite opponents and half of them on the road, Jason.
I'm Bobby. You're on the same page as me right now, bro. And I think some of you are. You can't use what I'm saying is this: you cannot use some of the arguments you're using if you're not going to use them with other schools. I'm trying to get the point. What's the big reason here of why they need to be in a conference?
I've already said you're going to play tougher teams on the road. Go look at the road schedule.
So let me ask you this right now: if they decided to join ACC and not play, they already play Florida State, so not play Michigan,
they would have to play Florida State. They would have to play Florida State. They'd have to play Clemson. They'd have to play North Carolina. They would then have to play one of those teams again.
Hey, real quick though, I know it's whatever time it is. You're throwing North Carolina in there as a monster team.
I didn't say monster. It's a harder road test than Navy and Army, Jay.
You just said they'd have to play North Carolina.
Okay, go pull up their schedule, Jason. You don't know their schedule.
Hey, some years they have a brutal schedule.
Bobby, I never said if OU doesn't. You're missing my point here, guys.
So what's the overall reason?
And Matt brings up a point where everyone knows you. My overall reason is, Jay, it's a hodgepodge schedule. What do they play? 12 games and 8 at home, 4 on the road?
Yeah, and Matt says
8 at home, 4 on the road. Is that right?
I don't know this year. I'd have to look.
It's 5 on the road, but 2 of the 5 road games are Navy and Army.
Yeah, they do have those games. I understand those games are pretty easy some years.
And you don't have to play in a championship game.
I do know Army took OU to the wire a few years ago, but I know.
Jay, let me ask you this, Jay. Does the
Yeah.
loser of does the loser and Bobby, Michael, everyone on here, does the loser of the Big 12 championship game this year coming up get in the playoff?
The loser of what?
Does the loser of the Big 12 championship game get in the playoff this year coming up?
Maybe if they're both undefeated and one of them loses, possibly.
Earlier, Bobby said no way they get to.
Well, I don't think they're good enough to go undefeated, Jeremy.
So here's my point, Jay. This is why being in a conference hurts you.
In
Notre
that
Dame doesn't have a chance to lose a conference championship.
here's my let me get to my overall point. Let me say why I brought this up, okay? Because I'm going to go back to kind of what Damon said up here, because I agree. If they're a top 12 team, I don't care if they're independent. I don't care if they're in a conference or not. If they're a top 12 football team and they look like a top 12 football team, they should get in. And I don't like Notre Dame at all. And I think Notre Dame should dang well be in a conference. I think Notre Dame should be in a conference. I'll say it right now. That's what I think. But I do think the argument that I hear so many national people say is, oh, you can't put them in the playoff if they lose one game because they're not in a conference. I don't like that argument. I don't like it.
Well, 2 games they shouldn't be in. And Bobby, yeah, you can't compare the SEC to any other conference. It's non-comparable. The SEC will probably get 4 teams in, and 2 of those will not have made their conference championship game. And we've talked about this before. That could help teams, although you're playing for a better seed. That's one thing.
I mean, I don't know why we're talking about Notre Dame anyway. I don't think they're going to be good enough to win 10 games probably this year. I think they'll lose 2.
I don't either. I also agree that the loser of the Big 10 championship gets in, for sure. I agree with that 100%. Man, Michael, here's my take. Mine's different.
It's been quiet. It's been quiet.
But here's my take on the backup quarterback. I think if something were to happen to Jackson Arnold and OU was, let's say, 8-0, I think they're going to throw out probably Casey Thompson to see what he's got. In my opinion, Casey Thompson's the backup.
I think probably is going to be the backup. I would guess that too. I really like Michael Hawkins. I'd like to see Michael Hawkins. I just don't know what the experience. Hey, I wish Hunter was on here right now. They can't be with the ruling, I believe, is because I'm trying to remember how it's stated. I know somebody will pop it up here for me.
Conference champion.
I don't think they can be ranked one of the top 4 because they're not in a conference. And see, that's my point, is they are already being punished a little.
I do agree with that. There is some punishment.
So I don't think you can just leave them out because they're not in a conference. I mean, but yeah. I hope they get left. I don't like Notre Dame at all. And I'll say this too. There's been years before that Notre Dame's got, and when it's been 4-team playoff, and you could tell when they got there, they weren't ready because they hadn't played the big dogs, because they got smoked. And you can kind of say the same thing about OU in some years, is the Big 12 didn't really test them. I do think that's what the SEC is going to do. You may lose, say you lose 3 games and make the playoff. That is better probably than you going to the Big 12 and just running through it and not being prepared when you get into the playoff. And I think some years OU wasn't prepared against the teams they played. They just weren't. I mean, they were way better than a lot of the teams there.
Jay, package for Hawkins, yes or no? I say no.
I don't like packages for players to come in and run. I've never liked it for quarterbacks to do that. I don't like it. I hope they don't. But here's what I will say. If Hawkins is better than Thompson, he needs to be the backup. I know Thompson's got experience. I don't care about the experience. I really don't. As a backup quarterback, I want somebody, if he's better, he needs to play.
Cincinnati did get in when it was 4. And by the way, a group of 5 will get in this year. It's in the rules. Dylan Gabriel preseason for Heisman candidate trophy. Okay. I'll say it again. I'll say it tomorrow. Did you talk about
the Manning Academy?
What?
At all? Did you talk about the Manning Passing Academy when I was gone?
We talked a little about it, Jay. Hey, Dylan Gabriel will probably put up really good numbers again, Jay. He's not going to win a national championship, so.
Yeah, but Alan, and I see Bobby saying.
But if you're throwing the ball, let Jackson Arnold do it.
My thing is, I think some teams overthink this when they try to bring in a quarterback that can run. Most of the time anymore, these quarterbacks that can run, they can also throw. It's not like they're I'm trying to think of a guy who was just a
Belldozer.
Yeah, something like that.
He could throw, though.
Most of these guys are highly recruited and can throw the ball. So I don't like the package either, Bomb. I really don't. Put them in there. If they're your backup quarterback, let them actually run the offense so they can get prepared. One of my biggest complaints in college football these days is I don't think the backup quarterback gets enough work. I don't. There's games where their teams are winning by 40 points and they come in and hand it off. To me, a backup quarterback comes in and you're at 40, you're running the same offense, throwing the ball, and people can say run it up. That's fine. I don't care. As a coach, I'm all for preparing that guy to be ready. And you go look at years past, I do think that was part of I do not think Levy prepared the backup quarterbacks at all. I just don't.
I'm not going to argue that, but historically, OU doesn't play the backup even when the OU's killing teams. It's annoying.
I'm talking high school football. If a team's up 70-0, bring your backup quarterback in and let him run the offense. If your starting quarterback gets injured first game of playoffs, you're done if you've never given any reps to your backup in game time.
Well, that's pretty much most teams in America. That's most teams in America, Jay.
I agree, and it's a problem. I think it's a problem these days.
We're getting ready to ramp up the content. 55 days away, 54, Friday, August 30th, OU versus Temple.
Real quick. Sorry, yeah. I had to say something. I haven't been on. Real quick, Kennedy, how many days till she commits somewhere?
It's this week, Jay. I'm thinking Wednesday or Thursday. Their last game is the 8th. That's tomorrow. They should be back. Wednesday or Thursday, I think she makes the commitment.
Hey, I'll say this. I would be very shocked if Patty Gass on Oklahoma has went this long and not got a pitcher if they knew they weren't getting Kennedy.
Yeah, they're getting Kennedy, Jay.
I think. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No hurry, no rush. Guys, it's been great again. Guys and gals, as always, it's getting closer. Things are moving quickly.
Meet days coming up.
Yeah. Please check out the Fan Stop. You won't be disappointed. Use our code SURGE, 10% off the first 3 months. A shirt every month sent to your doorstep. You'll be surprised. Awesome. They're awesome. Great angry show, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, good to be back. Good to be
back.
Hit
the like, please, right now. Click the like. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Welcome back, Jay. Go get some sleep.
I'm gonna.
Thanks, Dave, for the super tonight. We really appreciate it. We'll see y'all tomorrow on Monday. Have a fantastic Monday.